Hey everybody, welcome back to another tutorial. Today I'm looking at Sugarbyte's Looperator, and this is going to be a real deep dive into this app. I think it's a bloody fantastic app. I wasn't that sure about it when I first tried it out, but after I read through the manual and really checked everything out and understood properly how to use this app, I have to say it completely blew my mind. And I'm really excited to say that Sugarbytes are offering 2 free copies of the app to subscribers to this channel. Now, if you're a regular, you'll know what to do. If you're not, take a look at the pinned comment at the top of the comments section. That will have that will tell you how to win. Okay, so look in the comment section for that. And thanks again to Sugarbytes. Now, everybody, also make sure that you have your notifications for YouTube messages enabled, because when I reply to your comment to tell you you've won, you'll need to make sure you're getting those emails and things, because there are a few people who haven't picked up their prizes. I still have never heard back from them. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to get straight in. And first, I'm just going to play through a bunch of different presets. So first, I'm going to do it on some synth type sounds. Then I'm going to do some percussive stuff. And then I'm going to get stuck into a detailed tutorial. And during that, I'll also look at some other sounds, like some spoken word stuff and things like that, and go in pretty deep into how to use this app. I think by the end of this video, you will have a very good overview of how to use the app. But I would still recommend reading the manual. I can't go into everything, it's too deep, but I am going to cover a lot of stuff. I'm sure you'll find it extremely useful. Okay, now let's get stuck in. This is dry. So just giving you an idea of what that sounds like before I apply Looperator. Now I'm going to apply a bunch of different effects, and I'm not really going to speak, I'm just going to let you hear what's going on. So how cool is that? I think this sounds fantastic. Really fantastic. Okay, now let's hear it on some percussion type stuff. Got skid. Maybe you saw my video on that I did just yesterday. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. So very cool. We can use it on things like vocals.
Is working final stages of the development. Revolutionize is working stage development. Cosmetic industry. State development is it final of the development.
So, I mean, there's just so much usage you can get from this thing. And it's really insane fun. It's brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to go through things in detail now. So let's go through this top bar here. Now, let me see. I'm going to get something. Okay. Just bear with me a second. sounding great. You can hear this one is just reverbs and delays. Okay, so let me explain first a little bit more about what Looperator is, in case you haven't gathered already. Basically, here we can see the incoming audio. You can load samples, or you can use it in the FX slot, as I'm doing here in AUM. Got it in the FX slot. So it's processing this audio live in real time. And here we have what are called different tracks. And you can see this is called FX2. Now that involves a bunch of different FX. Maybe I'll go into that later, FX2 and FX1. Actually, we can see here some of the things that are involved there. Delay, reverb, distortion, grain, tonalizer, which is kind of like a tuned delay tails, phaser, final, so like record scratching sounds. It's even got a kind of synth, another reverb, 2 reverbs, and ring mod. So FX1 and FX2, those are kind of shared between those. And it also does looping. It can create envelopes. It does slicing and filters. So, I mean, this does really so much stuff. So much stuff. Okay, now, controls at the top. This is where we sync to our host. And if we deselect that, we can use MIDI to trigger Looperator. Okay, now, here we can change the speed that the effects, that it will run through the steps. So we have 16 steps, which the effects will run on. So this is each step has a quarter note value. So it'll take 4 beats to go through 4 steps of the sequencer. Here it will take it'll go through 2 steps of the sequencer and 1 bar. And here it'll go through 8 steps in 1 bar. So 8th notes. Okay, so that's an important thing. This is where we load presets. We can save our own presets. Undo, redo. This is very important control. So we can initialize all the tracks. So that means this is completely dry. Or we can initialize individual ones. For example, let's hear this. Okay, let's just say I don't like these slice ones. I can just go up here and just initialize slice. So I can choose exactly what I want to initialize. That's one thing I don't like. This 5th reverb setting is really unpleasant sounding to my ear most of the time. It just does this kind of popping thing. So usually when that pops up, I get rid of it. So you can see here, we can add in steps manually. So here, for example, we have different reverbs, that is. This is tape stop, this is freeze, this is phaser. We can add in user effects. We can add in some random effect. Linking, that will, if I put links here, this will extend this effect to cover these steps as well. So linking is very useful. For example, have a listen to this. You see, just putting a row of all the same effect is going to be different from having a row of one effect followed by some links. Now, by the way that we do things, so we tap and then I press the X to remove. I press any of these to add them. If I want this to extend over more steps, I just pull my finger across the screen. If I want to clear something, I can go in, I can clear this spot, and then I can drag the cleared space along, and it'll clear everything else. Okay. Now here, we can do different kinds of randomization. First, I'm just going to let you hear. Okay, so let's talk about what these are. And I'm going to actually switch across to the vocal sample for this as well. Okay. So here, this first randomization choice is called Smart. And that will use some algorithm maybe to randomize things, but in a musical way. Space will just do delay and reverb effects. I love this one. I really like the delay and reverb in this. I mean, I would almost buy this just for the delay effects alone. Okay, single. So you see just there, I just got rid of that FX1 because I didn't like it. Okay, so what does this one do? Single. If we look here along one of the tracks, for example, this loop track, you can see that loop has been put on 3 steps and it's all the identical type of loop. It's all this one. Same here. In the envelope track, it's exactly the same type of envelope that gets put down. So this will basically, lead to maybe slightly less crazy stuff than some of the other ones. Okay, let's see. Randolph. So if you look at the screen, what you can see is that in each step, we have a dice. Okay, so what is that doing? Well, basically what that'll do is every time it runs through the sequence, it'll go back and this step 3 will sound different each time. It'll be any one of these and it'll change every time. So this allows for a lot of variation. And, variation is just so key in music making to stop people getting bored. And so that's kind of one of the things that I have traditionally not been that interested in these kind of sequencer-based effects, because I always felt it's very kind of repetitive. I like things that are organic and evolve. And so you can do that with this. You can have these really cool evolving patterns. Okay. So next one, what do we have? I keep doing that wrongly, you know. If you want to get down the menu, you've got to press on the arrow. I always press on the dice and then it randomizes everything. Okay, next one is called Thailand. Let's see what that does.
Revolutionize the cosmetic industry. Is working on the final stages of a development that will revolutionize the cosmetic industry. Is working on the final stages of a development that will revolutionize the cosmetic industry. Is working on the final stages.
So if you see here, what we have is randomized effects followed by ties. As I explained before, that'll carry whatever this effect is doing on through these next 3 steps. Track random. So you can see the difference here already. For example, in this loop track, we have here 5 different steps and they are truly random. It's not like before when we chose single and they were all the same. See, here they're all the same. Here they are random. And this last one, monophonic mode, is really important. So you can see here that on step 1, there's only ever one effect that's going to be triggered. In this case, it's this envelope one. Step 2, there's only one, it's the loop one. And same for all the steps, there's only ever one effect on each step. So if we deselect monophonic, now we have just complete randomness. And as you can imagine, this is probably going to sound pretty crazy, which may or may not be what you want. So that's why it's great there are all these options. Okay, so again, remembering, if there's something we don't like, we can just go in and take it out here. We can also just X and slide. We can take out a whole line by doing that. Another really cool thing is over on the right here. So we can randomize per track. So we can try something, don't like it, okay, go on, try something else. Now here, this is really cool. So here, basically, we can control the dry-wet mix for each track. So for example, we could just take everything down dry. That's what I'm going to do now. Okay, and we can turn up the music and we can put them on one by one and see clearly what we like and don't like. And then we could, just draw things in ourselves, or we could use the randomize buttons. So let's just try that now.
Is working on the final stages of a development that will revolutionize the cosmetic industry. Is working on the final stages of a development that will revolutionize the cosmetic industry. Is working on the final stages of a development that will revolutionize the cosmetic industry. Is working on the final stages of a development that will revolutionize the cosmetic industry. Working on the final stages of a development that
Right, so basically, I think it sounds okay apart from that FX2. So let me just get rid of that FX2, initialize FX2. And now I could try just maybe adding something in. Oh, let's see, for example, some reverb. Oh, I'll turn up the wet. Right, so I mean, in this way you can go through and experiment, you can randomize things and then you can tweak them. I mean, it's extremely tweakable. And also, very important to remember that you've got the dry and wet. So, I mean, let's take something like this. Oh, let's see, hang on. Ah, yeah, volume. Let's turn that off. And this. So I mean, with something like this kind of pad sound, maybe first of all, we could just start with some reverb and delay. And I'll take out that horrible reverb number 5. To each their own. That's not doing much. Let's see. Let's get a bit of filter in. Try some slices. I'll take down the dry and wet a little bit. And remember, we can change the quantization. Now, another really cool thing is we can drag. So for example, if I want the envelope to come before loop, I just drag it up there, and now envelope is before loop. So we can experiment with the placement of our effects. I mean, that's quite the transformation, but it sounds good. Wow. Love it, love it. Okay, now, so let's see. We've gone through putting in steps. Now, I mean, there's a lot that I could go into here. It's hard to know what's worth going into. I think we need to look at the user parameters that can be set up. So if you look, when you add a step, we have a bunch, for example, for envelope, we have a bunch of different envelope types. And of course, these just control amplitude. Then we have different user settings. We have the randomization of the link, which we talked about already. So let's say I just go in here and let's just choose user 1 across all these envelopes. And let's go in and start playing around with envelopes. Let me just check first. Okay, I'm glad I checked that. Because if you look over here on the right, you can see that that one is fully dry. So I would have been playing with that and nothing would have happened. So let's turn it up. Let's try fully wet first. Okay, you hear the difference there already? Okay, so let me set them up as user 1. And let's go in and play around with some stuff here. Right, so you see we can go in, we can set up whatever we like in these things. I mean, there's so much you could do here. For example, if we look in the FX sections in particular, there's just tons you could do. It's crazy. So let's just look at a few. For example, delay. Okay, so I'm just going to drag the user setting for delay the whole way along. Going to turn it up fully wet. Let's try phaser. I mean, you can see just the phenomenal. If you like tweaking sounds, I mean, this is just hours of fun. Insane, brilliant. Okay, let's see, final. This sound has not really got much for reverb to grab onto. You can see there are no user settings for slice. Let's clear it. Filter. Okay, so one cool thing is, if you look here, we can actually, for this link button, we can separate the left and right filter. I mean, this thing is powerful. Ridiculously powerful. If it's too much, just bring the dry. Bring down the wet. Okay, I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I haven't looked at yet. I think that's pretty much it, folks. But I mean, you know, these user sections, like, I mean, I could spend an hour talking about these things alone. There's so much potential for sound design here. Insane. Really great app, really great app. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that, folks. I know I have really enjoyed getting to learn this app. Remember that if you're watching this at the time it came out, there's a chance to win 2 copies of the app. Details in the comments section. If you are watching it later, please still give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful. Subscribe to the channel and make sure you click the notifications bell. Some people don't know how to get notifications. It's very easy. When you subscribe to a channel, once you press subscribe, a little bell will appear on the right of the subscribe button. And you just click the bell and then you'll get notifications. And write a comment, you know, any questions, any observations, anything interesting, get it in there. Love reading comments and I try to reply to as many as possible. All right, thanks very much, folks. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.